Hey everyone, happy holidays to all of you. By way of introduction, I'm a managing director at Charles Aris and lead our corporate development practice. And as many of you know, Charles Aris is an executive search firm that specializes in recruiting current and former investment bankers and current and former strategy consultants. And the lens by which our firm is most known, and most of you would know us, is we operate the industry's largest corporate development practice, as well as the industry's largest strategy recruiting practice. And in this podcast, we'll take a look back at 2024. First, by the numbers. Second, we'll look at the good, the bad, and the ugly from this year. And then finally, we'll touch on three trends that we expect to see take place in 2024. First, by the numbers, we'll start with 14. That is actually an internal number. That's the number of corporate development team members that Charles Aris is now up to. That puts us at three more than last year. We added Jen Aronis to come in and lead our life sciences corporate development practice, as well as Corby Brook and Tara Vegas to our associate ranks, which is really exciting to continue to see the team expand. The second number is 78, which is the number of new searches that the corporate development practice has begun in 2023, which is a record for this practice and something we are very proud of, especially given the year that it was. And the third is 65. This is the number of closes so far this year. A few weeks left in the year. And the final is 25. 25 searches we did with private equity firms that we never worked with prior to 2023. For the most part, because this is the first time that the firm had ever done corporate development hiring, which is something that we are both excited about, but also leaves us very optimistic as we think about the future of this function within the private equity world. Clearly, every year, more and more firms are prioritizing this type of hire. So that's the by the numbers section. The second part of this is the good, the bad, and the ugly, an homage to one of my favorite Clint Eastwood movies that my dad would show me when I was a kid. We'll start with the good. As weird of a year as it's been, as pessimistic as some of the news has been, right? You hear about layoffs both in banking and in the corporate world. Private equity is still heavily prioritizing these roles for their portfolio companies. We've worked with more new sponsors than ever before. We wrote more searches than ever before. And with the exception of Q2, which you'll hear about in a minute, it would probably be our most complete year as a practice, which I would not have thought I'd be saying going into 2023. The bad. While as a whole, we had a great year, certain industries had a rougher go of it. Manufacturing was very slow for stretches of the year, as was healthcare. And so I know for candidates in those spaces, the market probably felt a little tight. And we know that's not easy. The ugly, Q2, whoa. We had been bracing for a slowdown in corporate development searches for about a year, and it all came to a head in Q2. Our searches were cut in half compared to any other quarter over the last 3.5 years. Thank goodness it bounced back and then some in Q3 and Q4. But it was definitely a notable drop in Q2 and a challenging few months. Last part of this, three things to watch in 2024. The first is M&A advanced manufacturing. We expect to return to form. We're already seeing this picking up in a major way, expected to be a big part of 2024. So think kind of tech-enabled advanced manufacturing. The second is healthcare is having a resurgence, specifically in provider. And third, more and more corp dev and ex-banker kind of / private equity types are being hired into finance roles. With the gap in talent in finance so prevalent right now, we are seeing more and more of our clients opting for this kind of rising star athlete coming out of private equity, coming out of investment banking, coming out of corp dev to actually step into these seats despite being relatively unproven in a sort of traditional finance capacity. Team, that's it. As always, thank you so much for listening and excited to see what 2024 has in store.